Hey, y'alls! Welcome back. It's me, Dr. E, and this is a little video I'm putting together for our first module. So, wow, capstone. Big deal. All right. This is the culmination of your undergraduate experience in anthropology. All right. And, yeah, I think I previously explained in my intro video that this is all about taking the knowledge, skills, and understandings that you've developed over the past so many years, right, in this program, and you get to show them off. You get to apply it, and in a professional way. So, I've pulled together all sorts of extra resources for you this week. I'm going to take a minute and go over some of them here and kind of like highlight their value and things like that, point out some key things. And then I'm going to get on into talking about your actual capstone, all right? Because you'll see in this module that you need to review the final project prompt, right? Because this is your overview for the entire project. Okay, but before I get there, let me talk about some of the extra resources that I've pulled together for you all this week. Let's see here. Let's start with who is it? Brown in his article "Cultural Relativism 2.0." This is a great piece. A real nice critical analysis of the issues of cultural relativism and some very fruitful discussion of ways to ameliorate, to improve it. Now, I'm not going to go over point by point or anything like that, but he highlights some real critiques, some criticisms of cultural relativity. I mean, on one hand, you can use it pretty much as an excuse for anything. Oh, well, that's just the way they do it, so that's the way it is. Well, what is this? How does this speak to larger issues of ethics? Are there absolute universal human rights? As this article highlights, the American Anthropological Association wasn't too thrilled with the UN's Declaration of Human Rights. It tended to ignore groups and communities and focused on individuals. And well, don't get me wrong, I'm not against human rights at all, but it highlights some issues, right? Um, you know, I think issues of scale are really important to this. Like as I noted, this is kind of an individual, right? Every individual is entitled to particular rights, whereas those may be actually in contrast to or juxtaposed to larger community values and practices. All right. So yeah, it's really good stuff to review. He makes some very solid points, and yeah, I particularly like his notes on methodological descriptive relativism. He breaks down kind of three basic models: methodological descriptive being one, cognitive relativism being another, and moral/ethical relativism. Uh, so yeah, I would definitely check those out. There's a quote in here that I really like on page 371. It says, "If anthropologists wish to contribute effectively to public debates on these issues, we will have to recover from our disciplinary ancestors a double vision that attends simultaneously to the values of specific societies and those of the large-scale political and moral communities in which they are embedded." In short, oftentimes cultural relativity is used inappropriately, right? And many anthropologists have lost sight, and they often use it as an excuse not to address particular things. This really kind of sticks in the craw of many anthropologists. Some feel kind of hamstringed. When you kind of move over into the realm of applied anthropology, now we're not academics. We're actually using anthropology to solve real world problems. One of the greatest lessons my professors and mentors taught me was, yeah, you got to take a stand. You just can't float in the nether world or the ether. Let me I'll give you a personal example. All right, so some of you have taken classes from me before, and you know that my primary research orientation is all about wildlife use, particularly in West Africa. Now, this is actually a great example that you might use as a model for your capstone. Actually, so I grew up in a strange family. My dad was a biologist herpetologist, and my mom was a psychologist. So go figure, I become an environmental anthropologist. Anyway. Because of my strong scientific background, right, the way I was educated, the way I was enculturated, right, I have a strong value for the environment, right, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna deny that I have a strong bias, okay. However, this has also forced me, because I recognize my bias, I actually have to situate myself in my work, all right? Tying this back to wildlife use and such, I believe that local communities should have rights to their resources. They're their resources, okay? Even though I might not like what they do with them, I think that's kind of a moot point because they're not mine. And so, rather than try to tell local communities what they can, can't, should, shouldn't do, I actually work with local communities to better understand why and how they do what they do. This is actually a real a first step if you want to develop policy to address those things. Okay, and it starts with really kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone. Like I don't like seeing primates butchered out. That's probably one of my least favorite things in the world. However, I had to attend and watch, observe, and develop an inside understanding of what these things meant to other people. There's a classic example of taking a real world problem, environmental degradation, conservation issues, exploitation of biodiversity, things like that, and how do we try to address them? All right, how we try to make it better. Well, I use my firsthand experience, my research, all of that to work kind of as a cultural broker. I think that's one of the terms that some of our materials use this week. I kind of situate myself between those that develop and enforce policy and those that are subject to it. Okay? In many ways, you can think of me as an advocate for local communities that rely on wildlife. Now, I kind of serve as a cultural broker by being able to translate local values, practices, norms, etc., and translate them so these Western policy developers, right, can better understand the local reality, right, and it also requires that I kind of position myself like I'm not going to undermine the local communities that I work with. Never. All right. I'm not going to give any of them up as breaking any rules, laws, anything like that. Nope. But I'm going to work with the policy developers to develop more culturally appropriate policy. All right. And that means that I have to really check my cultural relativism. I can't just write off that, oh, well, this is just the way they do it, and that's okay. No. I really got to kind of pick things apart. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get off on too much of a tangent there. So yeah, definitely check out Brown's article on Relativism 2.0. I also got a resource in here about applying applied anthropology in the real world by Elder. This is a really nice overview of applied anthropology and how we actually kind of go about doing it. And you'll see in there it kind of reiterates some of these statements that I've made about positionality, about situating yourself. Right? When it comes to practicing anthropology, it's you're not going to get out unscathed. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Elder's article on applying applied anthropology in the real world. Nice stuff. All right. I would suggest it does tend to be kind of focused more on the corporate, contract sort of model that you're contracted to provide X. And in some applied anthropological work, that's true, but for other applied anthropological work, not so much. Yeah. I got a link up for the Society for Applied Anthropology, okay? Because your capstone's all about applying all your stuff towards a real world problem. This is a valuable resource. And I have a direct link to their statement of ethics and professional responsibilities. It's good stuff to have to put in your tool belt or tool kit, if you would. Next up, I got several resources all about anthropological theory. Now, while we might want to go fix or solve some problem, we always do so in a structured or grounded theoretical approach. Okay. And there's all sorts. I don't have the means or the time in this little video to go over all of them with you. So what I've done is pick out some choice resources that you can use as references, all right? And these are going to be of value throughout the class, all right? When you're kind of refining your perspectives, these are going to be great resources to use to help explain how you're going to approach your issue, all right? How you're going to frame it, how you're going to understand it, right? Because you can understand a given issue problem from an infinite number of perspectives, okay? What it comes down to is some of those perspectives are going to be really well tailored to solving your issue, your problem, while others won't, right? So what I really suggest with these is exploring them. All right. Hopefully, well, you all should have had some good exposure to these in your previous courses before getting to your capstone. And so some of this may be quick review for you all, but still some great reference materials to keep on hand to help you kind of define and refine your theoretical orientations, your perspectives of how you're going to look and understand your particular issue or problem. Okay, I got, History and Theory and Anthropology by Bernard, Visions of Culture, an Introduction to Anthropological Theories and Theorists by Moore, an Overview of Anthropological Theories by Daya et al., Theory and Anthropology Since the 60s by Ortner, one of my faves, Theories of Practice in Anthropology, a Critical Appraisal by Baba. This is really well tailored to applied anthropology. All right. Some of these others that I've mentioned are much broader anthropological theories, and you can then use them in an applied structure. And this resource by Baba is a nice reference for that. Also got Anthropological Theories, a guide prepared by students for students by Murphy. And this is pretty cool. I mean, it's a website. You can go and it's got a little drop-down menu, and you can select different theories and explore them. Yeah, it's good stuff. I also got, in other stuff, a link to the American Anthropological Association, their general website, as well as a direct link to their statement on ethics. You know, you'll notice ethics are an important thing when it comes to anthropology because, you know, kind of from where I sit, it actually underscores your cultural relativism. All right, how you use what you know towards particular ends, all right, is telling. Okay. So yeah, I suggest, you know, not only looking at the Society for Applied Anthropological statement on ethics, but also the AAA American Anthropological Association statement on ethics as well. Moving on here. Let's see here. You got a couple of things due this week. First one is 1-1, our first discussion, capstone beginnings. All right, so you're going to start with introducing yourself. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on the discussion. Strike that. I'm gonna make a separate piece for the discussion in the discussion board. So don't stress that now. Rather, let's see here. I'm gonna point out your final project rubric. Okay, and this is 1-2 final project review. 1-2 refers to module 1, assignment 2. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, you need to review this whole thing. Okay, you want to have a good grasp of what the goals are. All right, to start with. Okay. And so yeah, I have the PDF for the final project, right? Or the rubric and guidelines PDF for the final project posted in the announcement, so you can easily download it. And so that one is going to give you a broad overview of the entire thing. You know, the white paper aspect and the presentation aspect, and the individual milestones that you are going to prepare along the way. So give me a second here, and I'm going to bring that up. Hey, yeah, you're going to want to be diligent is a good word, I would say here. Yeah, so the basic elements that we're going to be doing, we got component 1, which is the white paper, and that's going to include a statement of purpose where you state your problem and you provide specifics around the location of the problem, the populations, the resources involved, all of that, lots of background research, right? Yeah, and then you know, you might use maps, things like that as well. Then you're going to develop your research question, all right? And the focused research questions are going to be helpful. Broad, amorphous research questions, not so much, all right? So I suspect we're going to go through a bit of a process of refining, and we have some discussion and workshops that will be doing that, okay? You know, is it viable and feasible or not, right? You know, what's the relationship and the value, you know, to your specific concentration and to the discipline of anthropology as a whole, right? So while you may be interested in something, you got to be able to show what's significant about it to your specific program as well as to the discipline of anthropology. Okay. going back to my wildlife use stuff, right? It's kind of an example. There's a huge schism between conservation organizations, national conservation agencies, and the ground level, the local level. Just fundamental disconnects. And it's a problem. Oftentimes, outside institutions, be it national agencies or international agencies, come in and tell communities that's bad, that's wrong, you can't do that, with absolutely no understanding of local values or practices. All right. My research, one of my research questions was to understand the internal logics of wildlife use in a particular place. Okay, so very focused, right? And it offers specific insights into environmental anthropology, ecological anthropology as well, and anthropology is a broad discipline all at the same time. So hopefully gives you a little bit of an example. You're going to have, again, in your white paper, another key component is application of theory. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You remember all those sources of anthropological theory that I just talked about? Make use of them. You're going to have a literature review as well. Okay. And not Google. Right? No Wikipedia, no Encyclopedia Britannica. Avoid that stuff like the plague, right? You're going to need to be engaging in real library research, right? Shapiro Library is going to become your new best friend. Okay? I can help you with refining search parameters, things like that. So don't hesitate to ask for help with those sorts of things. And lastly, for the white paper, you're going to have a conclusion where you're going to actually make ethically grounded recommendations that are based on real world evidence. Okay. And as if you look at the final project prompt and rubric, you will see that it has specific little aspects that you need to address. And of course, you'll have a references cited section at the end. The second component is the presentation aspect. Okay. And this is where you're going to make like a PowerPoint presentation. It needs to be a professional presentation. Okay. You want to present, if I remember right, this is going to be for the general public, right? So think of your white paper as showing off all your inside understandings of anthropology, right? And the presentation aspect, you want to be able to share all of that to the general public, okay? Because it's real easy to, take a white paper that, is discipline specific and, turn it into a discipline specific presentation. It's something else to make that presentation accessible to everyone, okay? And I got to tell you, this is one of the great challenges in anthropology, right? Oftentimes, anthropologists only write for other anthropologists, right? Well, that's nice, but is it making a difference on a larger scale? No. All right, and that's where presentations can really, you can do it in writing as well, but being able to create presentations that are digestible by the general public are key, because that's if anyone can understand it, right, that means that you have a well-grounded presentation. Anyway, I'm going to stop going on and on here. You can see that your first milestone, milestone 1, is due at the end of next week. All right. So in this week's announcement, I've also included the prompt and rubric for that. So you can start preparing, all right, thinking ahead. That's going to be really essential in this class. Unlike other classes that we've that you've taken here at SNHU. They're very compartmentalized. Like we have module 1, and then module 1's over, and then we have module 2, and then that's over, right? Not here. Right? Pretty much everything keeps building on itself in order to help you prepare your capstone. So yeah, milestone 1 is due at the end of next week, but you should start looking at it this week. Before you look at milestone 1, though, look at the overall final project, all right? Give you a broader perspective, then focus in on milestone 1, okay? And again, the prompt and rubric for both are in the written portion of this announcement. Yeah, and unlike other classes that you've taken, you actually are using a very different set of, we often have like these critical elements, right, that you're supposed to address. They're a bit different for capstone, right? These are all about your program outcomes. Okay, like evaluate diverse cultural behaviors and social interactions for their role in complex interrelationships between individuals, cultures, social institutions, organizations, and the environment. Okay, apply anthropological theories, concepts, and methodologies to complex contemporary and historical cultural issues for a broader understanding of human societies. All right, so this is going to be drawing on all your other work that you've been doing over the past however many years. Okay, yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead right now or overwhelm anyone. So this is where I'm going to leave this announcement. And of course, if you have any questions, any concerns, need a sympathetic ear to vent to, okay, you got me. All right, I am your walking, talking, breathing anthropological resource and academic resource. Okay, I've been doing this for a while. 20 plus years working as an anthropologist, so in academia and as a professional. So yeah, chances are I probably have some insight into any question that you might have. I'm not trying to suggest I know everything, not by a long shot, but I'm more than happy to share what I've gathered and learned and explored through my own academic and professional experience. All right. So yeah, be sure to check out my initial thoughts post as well for this week's discussion. And yeah, I'll see you around. Hope to catch you in the discussion boards. Take care, y'alls. Bye.